Hi there, this is on sale from Lightning Tools. Welcome to the webinar this afternoon on DeliverPoint, which is our permissions management tool for Microsoft SharePoint. Yeah, I'm Brett Lonsdale, and I'm just going to do a very quick introduction to myself and also to Lightning Tools, and then we're going to dive into our material for today, which will take us through hopefully to the end of the hour. And we'll be exploring a little bit about DeliverPoint, why DeliverPoint is required, and also how to better manage SharePoint permissions and reporting on permissions using DeliverPoint. And we're also going to take some time towards the end of the webinar to focus on one of the brand new features, which is around labeling. So that will entail sensitivity labels and will have an effect on things like Copilot and also sharing your content as well. So in terms of Lightning Tools, we're a company that's been established now for 18 years. So I founded Lightning Tools back in 2007. I am a Microsoft MVP, specializing in Microsoft 365. Company we've been founded here in and headquartered in Leicestershire, England. We've also got our subsidiary in Orlando, Florida as well. So it's Lightning Tools LLC. And beyond that, we're also an ISO 27001, ISO 9001 certified company, and also a Microsoft partner as well, which we've been for many, many years. In terms of today's material, like I said, we're going to have an overview of DeliverPoint. So for anybody that has not seen it in a while or not seen it at all, you'll be able to hopefully get up to speed with what DeliverPoint is pretty quickly. We're also going to kick off with the problem that DeliverPoint resolves. So things like oversharing, data exposure, broken permissions, that sort of thing. We'll be diving into those and seeing how easily things like oversharing can occur, and what we can do to mitigate oversharing and basically manage our content a lot better when it comes to permissions management and also sharing as well. And like I said, we'll be also taking some time looking at the brand new feature, which is sensitivity label management. So if you were on this webinar just tail end of last year, you'll have seen that we introduced some sensitivity label reporting. So that would be giving you the ability to see what doesn't have sensitivity labels applied. But what we're going to be looking at today is, of course, we'll revisit that, but also see how we can bulk apply sensitivity labels as a site owner when you're trying to manage your folders and files inside of your lists and libraries across your sites and site collections. And there will be plenty of time for a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, best thing to do is to drop them into the Q&A pane, which you should see in the webinar. Either I'll read out questions at the end, or hopefully one of my colleagues who is also on the call will also be able to respond to you as well, if need be. All right, so let's jump into it. So in terms of the state of permissions in Microsoft SharePoint, so there's it's always been a challenge, especially for site owners, business users, to stay on top of permissions, purely because of the volume of content that resides inside of our document libraries and so on, and the limiting factor that we are only able to report on one file at a time or one folder at a time. So that makes it extremely time consuming, of course, and challenging to stay on top of the permissions when it comes to managing your site inside your department. And of course, somebody that is a site owner isn't necessarily a member of the IT team. There's also the lack of understanding sometimes in what the permission or how permissions should be assigned in best practices, how to avoid things like oversharing through things like the everyone group or the anyone links, etc. So overshared content is a challenge. So of course, sharing with the everyone except external users group can be something that is quite easily mitigated, actually, with some of the default properties that you can assign, but also things like anyone links that can occur, or even sharing with everyone inside your organization. So it's not, of course, just the people with inside or sorry, external to your organization. We can also overshare with people inside of your organization as well. And I'm going to show you just how easily that could be done. Um, there's the lack of visibility in sharing links, direct permissions, also permissions assigned through things like security groups, which we'll be exploring. There's, of course, a lack of out-of-box tools for site owners to be able to bulk report or bulk manage. And a lot of the investment from Microsoft is really around the high-level reporting for administrators. So through data access governance, which you'll also be touching on today, and Purview, we can report centrally across multiple sites and so on. But the challenge there is sometimes they're not granular enough, and secondly, uh, the IT team doesn't always necessarily know who should have access to the content. So you can, through Purview, create uh, access reviews or schedule those access reviews, but the way that they would be scheduled may be based on the fact that there's oversharing present, there's sites with many sharing links and so on, not necessarily something that you could do yourself as a site owner, and that's really what the focus is going to be on today. So that's not just me saying that. This is an article coming from Microsoft, which you'll be able to find using a quick internet search. But these are some of the things that can lead to causes of oversharing inside of Microsoft SharePoint. So when you create a site, there's of course that initial question as to, are you creating a public or a private site? Sometimes which immediately opens it up to everybody inside the organization, and they will have access to that content. There's also the default sharing options. So when we do share files and folders, it may share to anyone links or may share to anyone inside the organization again. So we could reduce that down. There's also broken permission inheritance, which can be challenging. First of all, broken permission inheritance quite often occurs due to the fact that the folders or lists and libraries are not perhaps organized in a way that they should be to reduce the amount of broken permission inheritance that is occurring. But we also need to understand that every time we share a link, then also broken permission inheritance occurs then as well. And that just makes it a lot more challenging when we're looking to find all the places where permissions have been assigned to somebody, maybe because that person is leaving the organization or whatever reason. It could be changing the roles into a different department. There's also the use of the everyone except external users domain group, which I mentioned. So it's obviously quite a quick, easy way of making sure that people inside your organization have access to something. And we've also got the sites and files without sensitivity labels as well. And this relates not just to Copilot, but also is a great way to assign sensitivity labels to your content to ensure that certain content isn't being served through Copilot as well. So we'll be taking a look at how those sensitivity labels can also be used. So we've got three main demos today. First one, we're just going to have a look a little bit at DeliverPoint here, but also see how oversharing can occur quite easily inside our organization. So I've got a human resources SharePoint site here. And inside the human resources site, we can jump into the document library, first of all, and you'll be able to see that we've got typical content that you may see in a human resources site. I'm going to jump up to the one called employment contracts, and you'll see that we've got several employment contracts for different users. And the permissions that are assigned are quite limited. And I'm going to show you that by using DeliverPoint. The reason why I'm going to show you using DeliverPoint is actually to highlight one of the first problems is to show you that if I was to do this with SharePoint out of the box, I would literally have to select each file at a time in order to be able to view the manage access option. So we can go and have a look at the manage access option on this particular file, which is Kristen Dodson's employment contract. We can see that it hasn't been shared with anybody yet. Microsoft has made some improvements just this last week, by the way, to this dialogue, which we'll be touching on. We can see what groups of people have access, which is great. So we've got the members group, the owners group, the visitors group, and so on. And we can see if any sharing links, again, have been created, and we can create a sharing link from here if need be. So that's not telling us a great deal of information. I'm just going to show you how that contrasts with DeliverPoint. and also point out the fact that we can't use that manage access option on more than one file. So if I did want to just do a quick check across multiple files here, what we can do is use DeliverPoint. These are the DeliverPoint menu items at the bottom of that edit control block, and notice how we've got the discover permissions report that we can run to see exactly who has permissions to that content. And one of the things I just want to draw your attention to in here, first of all, is the file names. So these are the file names that I selected from inside the document library. And you'll notice that the Paul Evans employment contract is in a darker blue than the Christine Dodson. The reason for that is it does have unique permissions. So the permission inheritance has been broken on that file, and therefore we can manage it. But we can see, looking at all of this, all the different people that have access to each of those different files that I selected. We can see the permission level, and we can see how those permissions are coming about. So notice if we expand this SharePoint group here, we've got the human resources members. I can see that nested within inside that SharePoint group is a security group called human resources managers, and demo user 9 that we have selected here is a member of that security group, and therefore that's how they gained their permissions. So that's not something that we would have ordinarily been able to tell using the manage access option, or would be able to see there is that the human resources managers security group was permissioned. We wouldn't be able to see who was inside that group. And notice in here we can render by groups as well. So if we did want to have that view similar to the default share, access management pane, we can do. And one of the differences is you can actually expand those groups to see who the members of those groups are as well. And these are also actionable reports, which we'll come on to later. That means that we can actually register some of these permissions if we want to as well. In fact, let's just jump in there one more time. So I'm just going to go into the discover permissions. And what I do want to show is we're going to try and filter on one particular user. And that is demo user 5. And if we save that, you'll see that this is returning blank. There is no permissions assigned to demo user 5 across each of those files. And I'm going to do the same thing on the site. So we just navigate to the home page of the site here. And demo user 5 is going to be used a lot in our demos today. We'll be picking in on that user. So we're going to just simply hit the discover permissions on the site level, and notice we've got a list of permissions assigned. The only permission assigned to demo user 5 is a web-only limited access, and that was because something was shared with that user, but they weren't actually given access to the site, and as you saw, they didn't have access to those particular files or folders either. So what does that mean? So let's just grab this URL. I'm just going to copy that URL onto my clipboard, and we're going to access this site by pasting that link here. And as we're to navigate, this is what we're getting. Sorry, you don't have access to that site, which is good. But what we're going to do now is just see how that oversharing can easily occur by going into the document library, and we'll go into one of those employment contracts that we saw. So we'll pick on Kristen, and rather than choosing the share option, Microsoft has made it easier to share files. You can now just simply hit the copy link option. So if I copy that link, notice what occurs. It's defaulted to sharing that file with everybody in the organization. So this is an employment contract that now everybody in the organization can edit. So we've got that copied onto the clipboard by choosing that option. So we'll jump back here as demo user 5, and again I'm just going to hit paste, and that's the link to the document itself. And as we browse to that, you can see that we've been able to open up that employment contract. We can edit the employment contract. We have effectively edit permissions, which means I can also share it. So what we're going to do here is simply click share, and I'm going to share with an external account. So I'm going to choose my my Gmail account here. We do get the warning to say they're outside of the organization, that's fine. We'll just hit copy link, and that's been copied for that user. And of course, we could send that to that email address as well. So let's just jump back and have a look at what that has done here. So with Christian's document selected, again, we'll bring up, first of all, the Discover Permissions report. And what you can see, that file is now the dark blue, which means it has broken permission inheritance. And you can see here what's going on in terms of sharing. So demo user 5 has contribute permissions because this was shared with all internal users, but demo user 5 then went and accessed it, and that created a specific sharing link for that user. And then demo user 5 also shared it with an external user as well, which was my Gmail account. And using DeliverPoint, we can tell that that's an external user because it is in italic fonts. You've got that people card as well, so we can always go in and have a look at the fact that that was shared with the Gmail account. So this is difficult stuff to spot when you're using SharePoint out of the box, especially as a site owner, because we don't have the time to come in and check this stuff when we can only check one file at a time or one folder at a time. But yeah, with those 3 files selected, we can go in, discover the permissions, and like I say, see who has access to all of that content. And you can again see that contrast between the files with broken permission inheritance and those without. And once again, this is actionable reporting. So we can go through, select those rows, and if we want to, we can come up to the actions menu in here, and we can make changes such as deleting those permissions if we want to, and that will allow us to do that from directly within the report. There is also sharing links as well that we can run as a dedicated report. So this is looking for any sharing links across the 3 files that I selected. So we can go and have a look at that and notice how there is that people in the organization sharing link, which was the initial one, by clicking on that copy link option. And then we've also got the specific people, and that was shared by demo user 5 with Brett Lonsdale. So there's 2 links that have been created there. And like I said, Microsoft has improved the manage access option. So they actually do enumerate each user now that has got access to that sharing link. And if we go to the links, you can see that there is that link for anybody inside the organization. And then there's also the specific link which was shared with my Gmail account. So you can manage those from here. You can go into the properties, maybe change the permissions, etc. But again, you do have to do that on a file by file basis, or folder by folder basis. It's not something you can bulk manage like you can with DeliverPoint. And to that effect, if I just jump up to the home page of the SharePoint site, and I'll show you how we can run that sharing links report across the entire site here. So once that's loaded, in the top right corner, you're going to see the sharing links, and this allows me to scan the entire site for any existing sharing links that exist. And what you'll notice here is there's the 2 that we just shared. So again, we can see when they were shared, who shared them, and we've also got some other documents that were shared as well that we can see inside that report. And from here, if I wanted to clean up those sharing options, I can just simply highlight those 2. We can remove those sharing links, and that will delete it immediately for me. So we don't have to delete them one by one either. We can delete in bulk when we need to. Okay, so that's just a quick sort of intro as to how oversharing can occur. So it can be quite innocent. The copy link option is there. You can also copy the link from within inside a document as well now. So if I was actually inside of one of these employment contracts within Word, if I just copy the URL and send that to somebody when they access it, that is also going to create a sharing link. And you've also got that copy link option up here as well to be aware of. Okay, so that's a bit, like I say, of how oversharing can occur. within sites. Um, so let's have a look at how DeliverPoint can help with that. You've already seen me using DeliverPoint to produce some of these reports, but ultimately what our aim is to encourage organizations to have security conscious site owners, and those security conscious site owners will have the best tools for reporting on permissions and also being able to bulk manage those permissions as well. So again, just getting away from that one by one reporting and management. So that includes the sharing links. It also includes broken permission inheritance, which we can change in bulk as well. And we'll have a look at some of this stuff in a moment. We can also check for unlabeled content. And again, we're going to come on to the reasons why unlabeled content could be a concern. And then security groups, which we can also enumerate as you've seen. So we've got all of that as reporting, and then we've also got the ability to manage from inside of the site as well. So that's using permission inheritance, doing things like copying, transferring, deleting permissions between security groups, between M365 groups, and also user accounts. And then we've also got that ability to manage the sharing links, as you've seen. So the actionable on-demand reporting means that from within inside the report itself, we can perform cleanup actions, as you saw with the sharing links. So what we're not doing is providing like a CSV file, which is like a snapshot of how the permissions look now, and then you having to revert back to where the content actually resides to make the changes. You can pull up the report in context with the content and make changes in context with the content also. Now, in terms of site owners, site collection administrators, and SharePoint administrators, you can also use the product. So it's not just for that contextual reporting and management. You can also use it to centrally manage and centrally report on the permissions as well. So if you wanted to produce reports on larger scopes rather than just files that inside a document library or against a particular site, we can go across sites, include all sites inside a site collection, and even go across site collections if we want to. So we'll jump in, have a quick tour of some of those key DeliverPoint options. So from within inside the site itself, you saw we've got that contextual menu against the content where we can access the sharing link reports, also the discover permissions reports, etc. And in the top right hand corner are also some of the other options that you may want to run as a site owner against your site. And these are only going to show up for anybody that is a site owner. If you didn't have full control to the site, then you wouldn't have these options even showing up. So the top option takes us into the main DeliverPoint page, and from here we've got lots of different reports that we can run. There's many different actions as well, and those reports can also be scheduled. Now, some of the key ones are available here as shortcuts. So you'll notice the discover permissions, for example. We can run that immediately, and we can see then everybody that is permissioned within inside the site, and again how they've been permissioned through here as well. And from there is where we can make those contextual changes. So if I wanted to switch out Sandy, let's say, with somebody else, we can just simply come up to that actions menu, come down to the account management, and I could transfer those permissions from Sandy, and we'll give those to Carl instead. So let's just go through and select Carl here. And then we've got options as to, are we just going to be affecting the permissions on the site, or do we also want to process any subsites if there were any, also any lists, folders, and items? And of course, these are going to be folders and items with unique permission inheritance where the permissions have been assigned to Sandy, not across everything. We can support a rollback as well, which allows us to undo this if we wanted to. And then we've also got how do we want to affect permissions? Is it just the direct permissions that may be assigned, or do we also want to manage any SharePoint groups or M365 groups? So we've got those as options as well. So as we run this, you can see it's going through multiple rows there. It's made modification to the owners group. So what we can do is just jump back here to our report. Let's refresh it. And we can see straight away that Carl now has full control rather than Sandy. So we've been able to action that literally from within inside that report. And if we wanted to, before Carl does any harm, we can go into the jobs view here, and there's the transfer permissions, so we can roll that back and give those permissions back to Sandy. And again, if we just refresh that discover permissions report, we can see that Sandy's got her full control back, and she's going to be happy. All right, so that's the type of thing that we can do there at the site level. Now we can also dig in deeper than just the site. So we can do that either by going into the Discover Permissions report first and then expanding it, or we can also go straight into the main DeliverPoint page, and you'll see that there's an advanced version of Discover Permissions, where with this, we've got a very flexible report where we can apply multiple different filters. So we could look just for external permissions, we could look for people that are permissioned in a certain way or have a certain permission level, etc. So each of those options are available here for us to filter on. And then again, we can choose what we want to include within inside our report. So rather than just stopping at the site, I can actually report on anything in here that may have unique permissions or broken permission inheritance. And if we really want to, we can include things that are inherited. And if we have any large security groups, we can delay the enumeration of those groups, so we're effectively speeding up the report. So again, using something like the everyone group, we don't need to see all of the members because it is everyone. So we don't need all that enumerating. So in that circumstances where we might want to trigger that option. So this has produced a report not just on the site itself, but as you can see, it's brought back a document library because that document library had broken permission inheritance. And we can also see folders and files that also have broken permission inheritance being returned within inside our site. And again, from there, we can begin to manage those. Okay, so that's the Discover permissions. Now, each of these are on-demand reports. There is a permission summary as well, which is a great one, especially when using things like sensitivity labels as well. So this gives us a high-level view, first of all, as to what's going on with permissions inside our site, and gives me that option to drill down further into them. So I can see there's items, 6 items with broken permission inheritance, for example. And from here, we can compare some of those perhaps with our site or with the parent folder by running a compare permissions report. And with that, we can just see that the only change is a limited access set on the site, not on the files itself. So not too much in the way of differences with that one, which is a good thing in that case. We can also see where most of the sharing links are occurring, and where most of the broken permission inheritance is occurring as well. And each of these we can navigate out to, and we've also got a link out to those sharing links as well, which is the same report that you saw earlier, where we can manage those too. So again, a real-time report. We've also got the unlabeled files. So this was introduced at the end of last year. We can generate an unlabeled file report to see everything that doesn't have a sensitivity label applied to it within inside our sites. And later I'm going to share how we can also go through and bulk assign those sensitivity labels to that content also. All right, and then finally, notice how we can also schedule some of these reports. So if you want to have something like the sharing links report scheduled, we could run that perhaps on a weekly or a monthly basis. We can have it deliver the report via email to us. We can refine it to show us just certain information if we want to. So if it's a certain sensitivity label that we want to include or anything like that, then we can do. Otherwise, we just hit schedule, and that will schedule that report for us and notify us when it's ready. So each month we can keep an eye on those sharing links within inside that site that we're managing. Okay, I'm going to the main DeliverPoint page. So this is where we can also bring into it the tree view. So the tree view gives us a security trimmed tree view where we can see content across different site collections, across different sites. Effectively, we can search on these. So if I search on sales, for example, we can expand out our sales site, access the subsites and see the different lists and libraries within inside that. And from there, we can report on multiple sites at any one time. So that's the same discover permissions report being run on two sites simultaneously. We could also, from there, access the account-centric view. And if I do a search on Sandy again, we'll select Sandy, and now we can run these reports in the context of Sandy, or run them about Sandy. And one of the most useful ones here is the owned site collections, which is going to show me all of the different site collections that Sandy is the owner of. And from there, that's a great place where we can start to schedule some of these reports on behalf of Sandy. In here is Lightning Tools Sales. We've also got Human Resources, for example. So I could select those two and effectively create an access review of any of the reports here. So we could schedule a dead account report, which will show me anybody that has permission still inside of her site collections, but is deleted as an Active Directory user. We can also look for unlicensed SharePoint users, or look for external users, etc. And like I say, schedule these on behalf of that user. So yeah, scheduling the sharing links report is something that I would be able to do from there. We could also report on things like Sandy's OneDrive sharing links, or OneDrive permissions if we wanted to clean those up. And we've also got things like usage as well that we can report on from that menu. So switching back to the tenant view, let's get rid of our search here, and we'll see that the human resources site, the site that I was on, is right at the very top there. So we'll keep that selected and run some of these reports. So you'll notice that we can do things like set the permission properties, we can see the permission summary, or we can discover the usage, etc., all on that site or site collection, and we could span those multiple site collections as well. So just simply running a dead account report across those three sites would return any of those accounts, and that would allow me to go through and remove them if necessary. So we can span those multiple site collections in one go. Okay, so some of you have probably seen a lot of these options before, so I'm going to focus on some of the newer stuff, and that includes the ability to some quick reports. So this is where we can very easily check for things like sharing links or everyone permissions. So with the data access governance, you have got sharing links and so on that you can run, and also that everyone except external users. The benefit here of using DeliverPoint to do it, when you run that report, it's something that you don't have to wait up to 24 hours for. You can run it immediately. So that mentions that yeah, it can take some time, as with the sharing links as well. We need to go through and create that report for everything that we want to report against. So with DeliverPoint, we can just run it straight away. I'm just going to bring back that sales site again, because it's got more content within it. So with our sales site selected, we can come down here to the quick reports, and I could check for the everyone group. So it's looking for these different variations of the everyone group, and we can just hit generate, and that will find anywhere in that site collection where the everyone group has been given permission. And notice that we can then go through and again manage it. So if there was something in here that I was concerned about, so we've got the secret info folder, we could simply come in, go down to our account management, let's delete those permissions against that item. So it's only that item that is the scope. We can run that, and the problem is taken care of. So we found the issue, and we're able to remove the issue immediately without having to wait any considerable time. Okay, so that's one of those. We've got the everyone group. We've also got the anyone links that we could also search for. So when people have been oversharing with anyone, this has already found all the anyone links inside that site collection, and we could go through and remove those, or we could also set an expiration date if we wanted to, and that expiration date would of course expire at that point, allowing us to be able to manage that accordingly before it expires. We also introduced the ability to audit permissions. So for this, let's just jump back to human resources because I created some reports earlier. So from the schedule menu, we can come down to audit. Now, if I wanted to audit permission changes, we can just click onto this option here, specify the date that we want to start the audit occurring from and to. And again, we've got different options that we want to look for. So are we looking for security group member changes? Are we looking for SharePoint group member changes? Are we looking for permissions being granted or removed? Also, any sensitivity label changes, etc. We can include inside that report. So all we need to do is hit generate, and that will start to collect that information using the graph in order to be able to provide it for me. Now that can take a little while to run, but once it has run, you'll be able to access it from here. So your reports are all saved, and you can see some of them that I've created. So that one is currently running right now. You'll see this one here that I ran, I guess just a week or so ago. So if we open that up, you can see the changes that have occurred. So this includes permission changes being granted, a permission inheritance has been broken at this level. And we can see who broke that permission inheritance and when did they break it. We've got any sharing link changes as well that have occurred. And we've also got group membership changes. So people being added to groups and being removed from groups have all been captured inside of that report. And once again, this is something that is also actionable. So if we can see somebody was granted permissions and they shouldn't have been, we can go through and delete those permissions directly from within inside this report, accessing that row and going up to the actions menu. There's also a links usage report. So we talked about oversharing. So of course we could accidentally share with everybody inside the organization something that is like an employment contract or something along those lines. And the immediate question is always, well, did anybody actually access it? It was shared with everybody, but without that link, of course, you won't be able to access it. You do need the link still. So what we can do is open up the links usage report, and I'll show you how we can generate this as well. So this is actually on, we can see Paula Evans's employment contract, demo user 5, did actually open that, which occurred yesterday. And we've got the IP address that she also came from. And then we've also got this remote working guidelines that has been visited by a few different people as well. So if we spot something that has been overshared, we could just simply come in to sharing links in here, or any of the sharing links reports. So we can see this was created with everybody in the organization. So I can select that row, and then from the schedule menu, we can come down to auditing, and we can audit the links usage. So we can give it the amount of time that we want to look at it, and choose what we want to include with inside that report again, and then generate that. And as soon as that is ready, we'll be able to see who's been accessing that link. And again, we can do that just simply by coming into that report. We can see that that's been scheduled. So that's going to kick off after this one has completed. Okay, so that's a couple of reports there which are useful for auditing purposes, as well as checking on those link reports. All right, so let's focus on some of the new features as well. Like I say, we did introduce the audit permission changes towards the end of last year, and what we've been working on is improving that more with the enhancing the reporting of the sensitivity labels, and also being able to manage sensitivity labels as well. And we're going to first of all just talk about why that's important. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is Copilot. So if you are looking at rolling out Copilot, the sensitivity labels can be extremely helpful in making sure that Copilot isn't serving information from those files that you may have accidentally been given permission to, again, through a sharing link or through the everyone group, or even direct permissions that you shouldn't have been assigned. So depending on the label properties that you define and any policies that you create around the label will depend on whether that information is served through Copilot, whether the file is available to be shared, whether it's still unshareable when it's stored offline, etc. So you can refine all of that when you're actually creating the labels. The one thing that I want to touch on here is the controlling access using sensitivity labels. So even if somebody did share something with me and I had access to it, using Copilot, I would be able to go in and ask questions about that content, maybe see answers that I shouldn't be privileged to because it was overshared with me. But if there's a policy assigned to a sensitivity label that um, does not give me the ability to extract information from that content, then Copilot will not be able to provide me information about that content, even if I've got full permissions to it, even if I have full control permissions to it, it still won't do it based on that sensitivity label being assigned to that content. So typically, Copilot is running with the permissions that you as a user has, but this is kind of the exception to that based on the sensitivity label, making sure that you don't have access to that content through the view permission or the extract permission. And we'll have a look at how that has been assigned in a moment. So if you've got the view permission, then yeah, with Copilot, it could potentially summarize the information or even give you a link to the content through the sensitivity label. If you don't have the extract permission, then Copilot cannot use that content in its responses. And we'll have a look at that now, and then we'll go and have a look at how DeliverPoint can be used to bulk manage these sensitivity labels. So what we've got up here in Purview, if I just cancel this for a moment, there's a sensitivity label that I've created called confidential HR only. And as we step through the wizard here, you can see that this is controlling the access on labeled items. And under the access control, sorry if I get to the right place. So under the access control, I've got demo user 5 here that if we click onto edit to check the permissions, you can see that this is the only user that has the view permission and also the extract content permission as well. So anything where this HR sensitivity label has been applied on, Copilot won't be able to serve up an answer to that. And what we're going to do is just jump into Copilot to try that out. Before we do, I'm just going to show you the content that some of it has been applied the sensitivity label and some hasn't. So we can click onto the details pane somewhere, if I can see it. There we go. So clicking onto details will show me whether or not that has the sensitivity label applied. We can also get that same information through the manage access as well. So notice here it's got confidential HR only. So that's on Brian Smith. If we choose another user such as Mariah here, we can see that there isn't a sensitivity label set on Mariah. And we'll do one more here on Bob. Sorry, or Robert. We see Robert has also got that confidential HR label assigned to it. So let's go in first of all and ask Copilot a question about one of these. So there's Kristen, and let's say Mariah. So let's try one of those. So if we ask Copilot a question and see what it comes back with. So I have full control to that content. I'm signed in as the as one of the tenant admins here. I've also got full control to that site. I'm a site owner. Um, so I do have access to that. So it's running in the context of me, and hopefully it's going to give me an answer. There we go. So it's now able to extract information from that contract, and it's actually given me information such as compensation, any confidentiality stuff, etc., has been returned. And I've also got a link out to that employment contract as well. So let's just try that on Robert Barr. We'll use the same prompt. And run that one. And so it's looking for Robert Barr, just as it did with Christian. And here we go. So it didn't give me, because of the sensitivity label, the information to that document. And we'll get that same result on each of those documents that has got the sensitivity label applied to it. So that's how critical they can be on things like human resources content. Like I say, I do have rights to actually open up that document. It's just the sensitivity label is controlling whether that information can be served through Copilot or not. But I do have full control permissions to actually open up the content and view it, but to stop that accidental exploration of information coming in from Copilot. So what we can do in that case, first of all, we could start up here by looking for any content that is unlabeled. And this is putting it into the hands of the site owner. So you can do some of this stuff with Purview. So with Purview, you can go in and create a policy. When you create a label policy, you can choose what type of content that is going to be applied to, and it may be looking for the fact that it's got things like social security numbers in it or anything like that. But it is kind of like a blanket approach, whereas with DeliverPoint, we can actually generate a report to see what is actually unlabeled. So that has brought back a number of different files that are unlabeled. And now what I'm able to do, of course, open them up and I can discover permissions on them as well from here. But anything that looks like it should be labeled, we can go through and select here. So I'm just looking particularly at the employment contracts, and from the actions menu we can now come down to the information protection and we can assign a sensitivity label. So this is going to affect all of that content. Now this is using an Azure function in order to run this, and that comes with a cost. So you can see that the cost of this is 0.00185 US dollars per file. So that's a cost from Microsoft, not from us. So keep that in mind. That's why we're showing the warning there if we're trying to run this across tens of thousands of files. We can then choose whether this is scheduled. So whether we want to keep on running this against certain files, and that wouldn't make sense with just these files selected. But I'll show you another approach to this in a moment. What we can do here is actually go through and assign a label. So I'm going to choose that confidential HR only. We can also provide a justification. So justification can actually be a required field when you create the sensitivity label. And it is useful for maybe if I downgraded the sensitivity label, we can justify why we did it, or even if we wanted to justify why we applied a label in the first place. So I'll just put these are employment contracts. And should be private. Okay, and we can include PDF files. We can also support that rollback. I'll again touch on that in a moment. And now we can go through and schedule that. So we can see that that has now created the job, and that is going to go through and process those. So again, jumping into the jobs view here, we can see that that job has been created. It's currently scheduled. the other two jobs that we created earlier on have completed. And we can also go in and view the properties of the job. We can see the files that are going to be affected by this, and so on. And if we have a look at one that we created earlier, so let's just go in, have a look at this one. So we were running this against certain documents that was setting them as highly confidential. And what we'll be able to do, um, yeah, is like I say, see the files that were affected by that. Okay, and we can see that has in fact completed. Okay, so that's one place where we can create that job if we want to, but we can close that down. We can go into the main DeliverPoint page. We could show the tree view from here, and we'll select the entire human resources site collection, and from there we could come into the information protection, assign a sensitivity label to all of the content if we want to. So of course, the label may have already been assigned. So what we can do is look for the file sensitivity label is null, effectively in that case, or if we wanted to change the sensitivity label that has been applied to something else, we could filter on it that way as well. I'm just going to leave that without um, the filter there. We've then got a frequency. So if we have got that filter applied, it's not going to apply it again to the same files. So this is something we could run weekly to say every single week, anything that has been created and hasn't been labeled is then going to become labeled. And we can have a notification when that has been done. And again, we can assign the justification, choose the label, and we've also got that rollback option, which we can perform if we wanted to reverse the job. So we can go through and schedule that job as well. Okay, so that's some of the new features, and that will hopefully help you with Copilot and give you some reassurances that content isn't always going to be served through Copilot if the sensitivity label has been applied to it. All right, so just a quick summary, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So yeah, benefits of using DeliverPoint, as you've seen, it's something that obviously does enhance security and compliance. And one of the things that we're doing is putting that emphasis on the site owner, so the business user as well. And that's important because those users quite often have the better understanding as to what this content is, what labels should be applied to it, and what permissions people should have. From an IT perspective, I wouldn't always necessarily know what type of content that is. And when it comes down to things like employment contracts, you could question as to whether I should actually have access to that content myself, and should I be reporting on it. So that's giving the HR manager that ability to do that part. It will then give you increased confidence and trust when sharing content. We've also got Copilot readiness, as you've seen. And this isn't necessarily going to replace what you can use things like Purview for, or data access governance, but hopefully you're making life easier for your compliance managers and IT when they come to report and manage those permissions and sharing links using the out-of-the-box tools. Okay, and yeah, overall, of course, improved governance without IT bottlenecks. We're not waiting for IT to find the time or to get the time in order to be able to manage some of the security. So just before we open up for questions, you can, if you want to go into more detail, we can book you can book a demo via our website. The book a demo link is everywhere. Just choose DeliverPoint and schedule that. There is a trial if you want to jump straight into that as well. This is a trial for 30 days. It's fully functional. You can add it to your own tenant, and you can then explore each of these reports, manage the permissions with your structure. You can see how those permissions have been applied, and of course you can contact us anytime with any questions. So any sales questions, you can find us on sales@lightningtools.com, and anything technical, you can submit a ticket or reach out to me on brett@lightningtools.com. All right, so I think there's a couple of questions here. Um, okay, I see one about, is there a way? I think that's invite someone to the to the webinar. No, but it has been recorded, so you will be able to give them the link to that recording. I think Sandy's actually done a great job of answering some questions here. But yeah, there is a question that was asked, and although Sandy answered it, it's quite an important one, and that is that who does the product work for? Is it based on the permissions of the person running the report, or does it have higher level of access? And yeah, what we have created here is something that runs within the context of the current user. So you cannot run any permission report or perform a permission change unless you have access to do that yourself. And of course, that could be that you're running a permission report on a large scope, like a site collection, and you may actually have full control to some of the things inside that site collection, but not others. And literally, DeliverPoint will then include what you do have access to, and it won't include what you don't have access to, but it does actually give you that information as well to say that there was certain information within inside the scope of your report that was excluded because you don't have access to check the permissions on that content. There is a caveat to that, which Sandy mentioned, and that is that if you're scheduling the permissions, and this would have to be a scheduled report, there is a DeliverPoint operator role that you could run. And that's actually a great option because it doesn't give you access to the content, meaning that if you were trying to troubleshoot permissions or audit permissions, you would be able to produce the permission reports, but you wouldn't have necessarily full control to go and actually access that content yourself. So yeah, that's effectively how DeliverPoint would operate in that manner. All right. So yeah, I think they were the only questions I saw. So I'm just going to thank everybody for attending. I hope you found this useful. And like I say, there are some action points if you want to find out some more information. And anything relating to pricing or download links, you'll find on our website. So just go to lightningtools.com and it will all be there. And yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing you next month. We're going to be talking about intranets and how you can complement SharePoint intranets, Viva connections with some of our web part tools, things like the Lightning Connector, Data Viewer, Social Squared, etc. And yeah, you'll be able to see that as well. So look out for that webinar. This was recorded, and the recording will be available on our website under webinars by tomorrow. All right. Hope you again enjoy this, and hopefully to see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.